right here. This message, this one right here.
This one right here.
This one.
That one?
This one. This some good stuff, Mater. Okay, we got some good stuff, and I am going to complete this lesson today. I'm going to do it. I promise you, it will get completed. Even if we're in here until 1 o'clock. No. No, we're not going to be here until 1 o'clock. But we have come through a process or a learning about developing abundance, about developing prosperity. And I want to bring this one particular point out because it wraps up everything. It encompasses just about everything we have talked about when it comes to abundance and when it comes to prosperity. The third book of John, the first chapter and the second verse. And this is so powerful. It says, "Beloved, I wish above all things." Now that right there is powerful. Because he's talking to you, saying, beloved, the one that I care so much about, my greatest desire for you above everything else is that thou mayest prosper and be in good health. Because this is the thing that I've learned about prosperity. This is the thing that I've learned about abundance. It is so much easier, it is so much more joyful to be able to circulate money when you're feeling good.
Oh, yeah.
So I want you, above all things, I want you to look good. I want you to smell good. I want you to live in a nice house. But above all of that, I want you to be prosperous and be healthy. Yes. Even, here's the catch. Here's the catch. Even as thy soul prospers. Which says to me that true prosperity is a soul thing. Prosperity does not come from the outside. Prosperity does not come from a paycheck. Prosperity does not come from an inheritance. Prosperity does not come from the winning lottery ticket. Yeah. All of those are just channels through which prosperity comes to us. Now, let's deal with it and look at it this way. There's a door right here in the building. Okay. Which means it's an entrance or an exit. There is a door in Annie and I's office that leads to the parking lot. But when it comes time to coming into the building or leaving the building, we don't use those two exits. We use the one in the front. Does that mean that that is the only way to get in and out of this building?
No.
That's the way prosperity, that's the way abundance is. Yes, I get a paycheck. Yes, I get the direct deposit. But that's not the only entrance to the building.
All right.
Ooh!
There you go, Brad.
All right now, you see, just because that one is the one we use the majority of the time does not mean does not mean that that's the only one that we can use.
Okay, right. There's another gate.
Well, what happens? What happens so many times is when that one is under construction, We don't see the other entrances. Channels close all the time. But your prosperity is a soul thing. And the thing about the soul is ever expanding. The soul is ever growing. The soul is forever learning. At one point in time, I wore a size 5 shoe. I can't fit into a 5 shoe anymore. But you know what? Size 5 shoes is not the only size they make. So when that door closed, when I outgrew that size shoe, it was time for me to put on another shoe. Don't it look nice, y'all? Anyway.
All right.
So the thing is, when your soul prospers, it's time to use a different door. And that's where we are. Jesus used this example about prosperity. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that when cast into the sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was filled, they drew it up to the beach, and they sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but the bad they cast away. Now the mind of man, your mind, my mind, our consciousness is like that net. It's catching all kind of ideas. And when it comes, when that net is full, you bring it in. It's time to sit down and go through all of those ideas. And be able to say, okay, you know what? This idea I can use. Ooh, this one I can use. Now, oh yeah, I really want this one. You see, this is what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Every time our thought processes or our net brings things in, we have the ability to go through and say what it is we're going to keep and what it is we are going to let go. When we prosper, when our good comes to us, the net is there, grabbing everything, but it's up to us to say, yes, I'm going to keep this. No, I'm going to let that go. But here is where it becomes interesting. Some people, nobody in here, but some people you know try to keep it all. Try to keep everything that comes in. We have to be able to learn and discern what it is that we are going to keep and what it is that we are going to release. Hoarding is not a prosperous practice. Amen. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. It's about being willing to share, being able to let go what is not beneficial to you. 2 Timothy 2:15 says this, study to show thyself approved unto God, not unto man, not unto Aunt Bessie, not unto Uncle Bob, but show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You see, we sometimes have to be able to rightly divide what we see on a day-to-day basis. We have to rightly divide what we hear. We have to rightly divide our emotions, rightly divide our feelings. The way we divide, the way we rightly divide is by a conscious effort. I'm gonna mess with somebody right now. Mainly me. And if the shoe fits, wear it.
What, size 5?
For some folks, it's a size 12. We have to be conscious at all times as to what our net is bringing in, so that we know whether or not to set it aside or to keep it. The one time that we cannot rightly divide is when we're asleep. And as much as I love Angela Lansbury, I don't go to sleep listening to Murder, She Wrote. We have to be very, very careful as to what we are putting into our net and when we can rightly divide it. There is a practice that I've noticed that Charles Fillmore is very, very well known for, and other authors don't do this. Charles was a master at this technique. At the end of every chapter in his book, he gives us a list of study questions. To say, okay, you've read the material, now let's go back and see if you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of this. Because these are the things, not just that you get the information, but these are the things that I want you to know about that particular subject. And in the book Prosperity, the chapter Overcoming the Thought of Lack is about how to shift or sift through those thoughts and ideas that we take into the net and put the good ones where we want them and those that are not productive for us away. So I am going to cover 6 of the questions that he asked in about this particular chapter. Now you have them in your notes, you have them in your handouts. So we're going to hit these 6 questions out of 20, because there are 20 questions just about overcoming the thought of lack. So those of you who have the book Prosperity, I want you to read that chapter over and see, this is how you study Charles Fillmore. There's a secret. There's a trick to answering these questions. First of all, don't look at the questions. Please do not look at the questions first. You will get messed up that way. Read the chapter first. Then read the questions. After you've read the questions, go back and read the first question, because I want you to read all of the questions first. That's how you study Fillmore. Read all of the questions first. Then look at the first question and then start reading the chapter. Read the chapter until you answer that first question. Write that answer down. Type it out, however you feel like doing it. Then look at the second question. Pick up where you left off reading and continue to read until you answer the second question. That's how you study Fillmore. I just gave y'all $1 million worth of material right there of information on how to study Charles Fillmore, because a lot of people don't. Now, the first question we're going to look at today is, what is the importance of thought elimination or mental cleanup? What is the importance of thought elimination or mental cleanup? And I like the way this question is worded because it's actually two questions in one. First, is it important to do this? That's what we have to answer first. Is it important for a mental cleanup?
Yeah.
Okay. There are some people that do not think it's important to do a mental cleanup because they feel they're all right where they at. But only when you realize, only when you come to the understanding that a cleanup is necessary or cleanup is needed, that you can go on to figure out or to answer the question, what is the important? If it's important, what is the importance? A mental house cleaning is necessary more than a material one, because the without is but a reflection of the within. We have to do a mental cleanup because whatever is going on inside is what is showing up on the outside. We aren't receiving our good is because we're not, don't have the receiving spirit inside. Whatever it is we've got going on in here is what produces itself out here. Now, we know that we've got to do a mental and emotional cleanup. Question number 2. Since we know it's important, and we know the importance of it, we can go logically to the next question, which is, how do we go about this mental cleanup? It's not just enough to tell me that I need to do it, but give me the steps, give me a process in how to clean up. And Charles does this. Number 1, by the use of denials, we break through the crust, which is the material thought that has enveloped the cells. We have to use denials to break through the outer crust. There are some dishwashing liquids, because I like to get practical with it. There's some dishwashing liquids that just bubble up and give you a whole lot of sludge. But after you rinse them off, you still got that greasy film on it. You didn't break through the crust of the dirt. All that did was just give you a whole lot of bubbles. And that's how some people's spiritual life is. Got a whole lot of bubbles, but that greasy film is still there. So we use denials to break through. Denial, I can't get into a whole lesson on denials right now, but denial does not mean that we ignore or say that it's not there. What a denial basically does is a strong statement of truth that says whatever that is does not have power over me. Whatever it is, it does not have power over me. It does not control my life. It does not control who I am as an individualized spiritual being. Yes, I have to be aware of what's going on. Yes, I have to do whatever steps I have to take part in the natural world. But even when I'm taking those steps, I know that there is something greater in me than that which is in the world. Number two, once we do the denial work and we break that outer crust, then we have to make contact with the substance and life that is within us. You see, it's there. But after we break that crust, after we get all that other stuff away, we've got to make contact. There are some people who wash dishes like this. Never making contact with the dish. The water, kids do it. Kids do it all the time. Kids do it all the time. They say, you tell the kids, go take a bath. They come out dripping wet. You have to ask them, well, did you use soap? That's the way some people are. They never actually make the contact. Oh. If you're going to clean the bowl, clean the bowl. You have to make contact with what is already inside of you. We must constantly deny the limitations of the material. Constantly deny the limitations of the material. Consistently, constantly, over and over and over again. We've got to do it. I'm telling you, it is difficult when you first start. It is very difficult when you first start. There is a phrase, a saying, a body at rest stays at rest. A body in motion stays in motion. Some of us have to overcome that spiritual inertia. It's going to hurt physically when you first try to exercise. It's going to be very uncomfortable. Why? Because the body has been at rest for so long. It's now time to do something. And when we started, after a while, after we've constantly began to do it over and over and over again, it gets easier and easier and easier. But it is not always easy at first. But it's about constantly doing it. The first couple of times I came to Flint, I really had to use my GPS to get here. Because I didn't know the way. I wasn't familiar with the way. But then I got familiar with it. Didn't need to use the GPS no longer. But guess what happened? They started doing construction on 20. Needed to use my GPS again to learn how to get around that. But after I used the GPS to get around it, it was like, oh, okay, now I'm comfortable, I'm at ease doing it. We're on question number 3, right? Okay, What further benefits occur from the use of denial words? Ooh, this is a good one. We said we've got to constantly deny. We've got to constantly deny. We've got to make connection. We've got all of this. Ben and Brad, write this down because this is going to be important for both of you in ministerial school. If there's any ministerial students listening, this is very, very important to you. Also, congregants, you need to know this. Okay? And Reverend Mary Covington can testify to this. Ruth Mosley in the urban school gave us a formula for putting together a message. And she said, if you use this formula, you can speak anywhere at the drop of a hat. So, you will need this for your study, and everyone else, you'll need this because this is what I want you to be looking for in a message. If I'm not here, and if whoever's speaking does not follow this formula, I need to know. There are 3 questions that we must answer. First of all, what is it? Secondly, what will it do? No, secondly is how does it work? What is it? How does it work? And thirdly, what will it do for you? What are the benefits? What is it? How does it work? And what is the benefit for me? Those are the things that must be in every message. So now we're going to answer that third part. What are the future benefits that occur from using denial words? Every one of us has a definite work to carry out. We've all